Hey everybody, it's Almadex and welcome back to the Final Fantasy Early Access event. Thanks again to Wizards of the Coast for this promotional early access account. With the disclaimer out of the way, let's get into another draft of this sweet brand new format. We've got an excellent rare here with Jill, Shiva's Dominance. I think all of the creatures that flip into summons from Final Fantasy 16 are really, really strong spells, and Jill is no different here. A 3 mana 2/2 bounces a non land permanent of our choice back to its owner's hand. For 5 mana, we can flip her into Shiva, a 4/5 that makes it so target creature can't be blocked this turn, 2 turns in a row. Then taps all your opponent's lands and flips back into Jill, which means once it flips back into Jill, she's going to bounce another card. Really cool, really strong card for a long game of Magic, and I'm pretty happy to start with her. We've also got one of these summon spells, one of these saga creatures that's really cool, just some strong abilities, but it does sacrifice itself in a few turns. It's another good rare, but I'm happy to start with blue here. Pick up Jill, Shiva's Dominance. Pick number 2, we have Battle Menu. This card is really flexible. 2 mana for an instant speed 2/2, or we can blow up a creature with power 4 or greater. Those are the two abilities we're going to use the vast majority of the time, but the fact that it has even more options is really nice, so I'm really happy with Battle Menu. Garnet is a very fun, very powerful build around with all the summon creatures. You can remove lore counters from those saga creatures to keep them from sacrificing themselves, keep them around longer, and keep getting +1/+1 counters on Garnet at the same time. So really strong for like a green-white summons deck if you can get that rolling. Outside of that, doesn't look like there's anything incredible. Those are my two favorite cards by a lot. I'm going to go for the more flexible Battle Menu here. Pick 3, there's another Garnet. An Albed Scavengers. 3 mana 2/3 whenever this creature or another creature artifact control dies, you drain your opponent for a life. Pretty good for like the black-white sacrifice deck kind of thing going on. The T-Rexar is a really good way to stabilize in the green decks. Once you have 6 mana, gain some life, get a big old trampler. I like the Scavengers, like the T-Rexar, like the Garnets. Garnet is probably the least flexible of these cards, but I think that they're going to have a really, really high upside in the right deck. So I'm going to take Garnet here. Pick number 4. We've got a solid flexible removal spell out of white with the Fate of the Suncrist. Also a decent creature with the Dwarven Castle Guard. I like the Delivery Moogle a lot. Really flexible if you play a lot of cheap artifacts in your deck. Searches your library or graveyard for any artifact with mana value 2 or less. So that could be an equipment. It could be one of the job select equipments that come with like a 1/1 creature attached to it. So could tutor out a creature, could tutor out an equipment, and it could tutor out like a little mana rock or something if you've got something unique like that. I think the Delivery Moogle is really cool, but you do have to draft around it. You have to find other good cheap artifacts for it, whereas Fate of the Suncrist is just good removal for any deck you end up in. I don't think green-white is really going to have good artifacts for the Moogle to pick up. That'll be good if we end up in blue-white, but the Fate is going to go really well into like a green-white summons deck or a blue-white artifacts deck. So I'll take the Fate there, the most flexible card. For pick 5, I think Magitech Infantry has been very impressive. A 1 mana 2/1 if you control another artifact, and that's been happening pretty consistently for my opponents that have run this card, and it's very, very good if you get a lot of copies of it. Tutoring out for additional copies out of your deck, just spamming the board with these cheap little 2/1s is pretty nice. So I like the Magitech Infantry, and I think it's particularly good for a deck that cares a lot about artifacts, which would be blue-white, but it's also good in a deck that just cares about putting a lot of creatures on board, which is one of the things that green-white decks can do in this format. So here we have a couple artifact options, or we could just stick to like pure white for now with Paladin's Arms. 3 mana 3/2 ward 1. Keep an artifact around on the board. So 4 mana 3/3 flyer, draw a card, discard a card every time you play an artifact, or 5 mana 5/3 crew 2 flyer, but it crews itself when you play a spell with 4 mana or greater. Not in love with the Prima Vista. That still seems kind of slow. I prefer the Rook Turret or the Paladin's Arms. I'm just going to go real deep on white here. That way our secondary color is still nice and open for whatever ends up looking the most open. Speaking of things looking open, pick 7. Judge Master Gabranth. 2 mana, 2/2 menace. Whenever another creature or artifact control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on them. So if you're doing some sacrifice stuff, if you're just an aggressive deck with a lot of cheap creatures, there's a lot of upside to this card. But there's also a pretty late Summoner's Sanctum here for a good instant speed blue removal spell. And I've got Jill being a really powerful reason to want to play blue. So I'm actually just going to take the late blue removal spell. I think that's a solid sign for blue. Here's another Magitech Infantry, a card that gets much better multiples, so really happy to take another copy. Pick number 9, Crossroads Village is fixing for whatever you play, but Weapons Vendor is a solid value play. 4 mana, 2/2, draw a card, gets your equipment equipping for only 1, which is pretty good with the job select equipment. A lot of them are like decently statted for the creature side, like a 3 mana 3/2 or something like that, like Paladin's Arms, but then really expensive to move the equipment around, right? 4 mana to move that around. So we'll take the Weapons Vendor there. Again, sticking really deep on our white. Here's a Cloudbound Moogle. Just a decent late game flyer. We can also cycle away, and it does look like the black-white sacrifice deck is wide open. We could have taken that black-white uncommon and then wheeled the Elbed Scavenger. I'm still going to take that over this trick. Castle Guard, yeah, white just in general is really open. I think the Castle Guard's really decent. And we got the Rook turret pick 14 as well, so is the artifact deck. It's got some good artifact synergies, and speaking of good artifact cards, there's the Buster Sword. You can play this on any creature, even if it's just a 1/1. And now that creature is an absolute must-be blocked, incredible threat. If you hit your opponent with this, even if you put it on a 1/1, you draw a card and then cast something that costs 4 or less for free. This card is ridiculous, and I'm incredibly happy to have opened that up. We're going to play around with the Buster Sword here. Pack 2, pick 2. We've got another Weapons Vendor. This plays really well with really strong equipment like Buster Sword. It's only making it cost 1 less to equip technically, because Buster Sword pretty efficiently costed 2 mana to equip total, but it's still good with that, and it's just a good value play in general. I like the Imperial City of Arcades as well. 2 mana, 0/4, draw a card. It is a defender, so we can't put any equipment on it and get any damage in with it, but still good. And the Magitech armor is also really nice. Comes with a 1/1 creature that can crew it. So it's a 4 mana, 4/4, and a 1/1. You basically get the full stat line off this card because that 1/1 crews it by itself. Yeah, these are both really, really good. I'm actually going to go Magitech armor here. It's pretty cool, and we're going to see it less often as it is a strong uncommon there. Now here's a summon, Primal Garuda. You can destroy well, not destroy, but you can deal 4 to a tapped creature and get some flying buffs in there, but then the summon will sacrifice itself on chapter 3. Seems really solid. I wouldn't be surprised if Fate of the Suncrist is just the better card, but this one's more unique. It's pretty cool. I'll be happy to play around with it here a little in the early access. Pick number 4, another Magitech Infantry, obviously a fantastic option, but we also have Zach there. 1 mana for a 1/2, because Zach enters with a +1/+1 counter on him, and you can sacrifice him, give a creature you control indestructible till end of turn, and put Zach Fair's counters on the creature and attach an equipment that was attached to Zach to that creature. So if we play Zach and we put the Buster Sword on him and then we attack with 2 creatures, they have to block both of them. Otherwise, if they just block Zach, we could sacrifice him and at instant speed move the Buster Sword over to the other creature. That's a really fun, really cute synergy. I'm probably again supposed to just go for the consistent card, take the Magitech Infantry, but I kind of can't resist how sweet that potentially is with Zach. Now we have Quistis from Final Fantasy VIII. Really, really cool character and a very cool card. She's going to be able to flash back any instant or sorcery card from either player's graveyard and cast it against our opponent. It's really good with a cheap spell like Battle Menu here, but also if our opponent plays anything. So treat this as a 5 or 6 mana card. It's a very late game play, but she's quite a strong one, and I'm happy to pick her up. Pick number 6, definitely in the market for some more cheap creatures, so I don't mind the Dwarven Castle Guard at all. There's another pretty important option here, the Charlayan Nation of Scholars, to fix our mana between our 2 main colors. But in a deck with like a really strong equipment like this, I really want to have critical mass of just like 1 and 2 mana creatures to slap that thing onto. This might be overdrafting a Castle Guard. You know, it probably is. I'll actually take the fixing here. Hard sell for me, but plays out well. We get an Adelbert now. Obviously good in a deck with a few equipment in it. A 2 mana 2/1 lifelink is already just not a horrific deal. So you only really need like 1 equipment on the board for that card to be really nice. 2 mana 3/2 lifelink. Alright, come on in, Adelbert. Pick number 8. Alright, nice. Our archetype is just so open, we get all the solid little cheap creatures nice and late. More castle guards. All the castle guards in the world. Do I want the 5th 2-drop or just take a 2nd Charlatan here? Yeah, we'll have real good fixing. Pick 10, we wield the weapons vendor. Well, I'm really happy I took the armor over at 10. We also wield the wall, the 2 mana 0/4 draw card. So it looks like in the final pack, more than anything else, we're really just looking for cheap interaction, cheap instants and sorceries, ideally ones that can blow up creatures. That way we have more spells to be recasting with Quistis, and we have just more interaction in general, instead of just this gigantic pile of creatures that we have right now. We want to fill out that non-creature slot to wrap this draft up. Alright, well, we didn't open up any cheap spells. We have creature, 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 or creature. A little awkward. I've got a lot of 4 mana stuff going on. It's going to be hard to fit another Primal Garuda in here. I almost think I'm just going to take the 2 mana card because it's a lot easier to run a bunch of 2 mana cards than a bunch of 4 mana cards. They can really get stuck in your hand while you're waiting to draw the mana, so I'm just going to grab a Castle Guard here. Pack 3, pick 2, no cheap interaction. There's a creature, an equipment that turns into a late game summon. I think I'd rather have the card that's both an equipment and a creature at the same time. I don't have a lot of 3 mana creatures, so I don't hate the Chocobo and Moogle here. Summon. It fits into the mana curve pretty well, and I've got a decently high creature count for the +1/+0 to everybody. Yeah, we'll try out the Chocobo Moogle. Pack 3, pick 3, there we go. Ice Magic is exactly what we're looking for. It's a bounce spell to put something back in our opponent's hand, or it can bounce something back to the top of their deck, or if we have a bunch of mana, it can shuffle something back in. Exactly the kind of spell we're looking for. Combat tutorial, not exactly interaction, but it is another instant or sorcerer we can pick up here. It's pretty cheap. Just a little card draw spell. We've got a nice creature count to be able to easily have something on board and get the +1/+1 counter off this as well. I'll definitely take combat tutorial. The Aristocratic Capital has one of the better adventures out of all the adventure lands. Have your opponent mill half their library. Pretty fun, but we'll take the combat tutorial here. Oh, we got Sid. Sid is so sweet, but I'm really still looking for more removal spells, and Fate of the Suncrist is like perfect. So Sid is artifact creatures and heroes you control get +1/+1 for each artificer you control and each artificer in your graveyard. So all of our cards with job select are heroes, so they're going to get +1/+1, and then all of our vehicles and just regular artifact creatures is pretty decent in this deck. But that removal is huge. There's also another Zach. Awesome stuff everywhere. Pick number 6. Choose a creature you control and target equipment. Gain control of the equipment until end of turn. Attach it to the creature. When you lose control of that equipment this turn, unattach it. 1 mana instant speed. Borrow an equipment for exactly 1 turn. That is too narrow for a draft. We'll just take the Paladin's Arms, get another 3 mana creature on the curve. Pick number 7. Well, here's a much better 3 mana creature, the Thief's Knife. If this creature manages to damage your opponent, you draw a card. You get some great card advantage off the knife. Big fan of that. Pick 8. It's an additional cost to cast the spell. Sacrifice a legendary creature or pay 2. Counter an activated ability, trigger ability, or non-creature spell. Seems like a pretty narrow counter spell. I don't think I'm playing the 6 mana artifact removal though, the Lunatic Pandora. But I think I'd rather play the 2 mana 2/1 job select equipment over that. Counterspell. There's another Rook turret that will probably not play because I've got a lot of 4 mana stuff here. Start rare drafting some nonsense. I don't mind another Adelbert. I don't love running multiple of the same legend, but Adelbert is probably strong enough to take over another copy of the Sage's equipment. Zach is probably strong enough to run 2 copies of as well. Alright, let's go for like a really nice low mana curve with this deck. Run all of our equipment creatures to make our Adelberts really strong. So, type creature or text job for job select. Although I also have the Magitech armor adding to our creature count and the battle menu adding to our creature count. Do these care about tokens? None of the other cards care about tokens, so we'll just change that to or token. And then here's all the creatures. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Oh, these don't technically say token. So I also have to put job select there. Okay, so we have like, what, 23 here? 26? Okay, so we're going to play like 15 to 17 creatures, probably 17 in this deck. So that is cutting like 9 creatures out of here. All right, well, there's 2 right there. Got some of this high mana value stuff. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh my god. So just all creatures all day with this deck. I guess the Zacks are like really good with equipment. The Adelberts are really good with equipment. The Vendors are really good with equipment. I don't think I actually cared that much about specifically artifacts. It's kind of all in on equipment specifically. Or Magitech armor. We don't really care as much. Anymore. 2 more cuts. Low enough curve. I'm happy to cut a land, go to 16. And then 1 final cut here that pretty much has to be a creature again. I could cut one of the 2 Zacks. Because they're pretty bad multiples. I mean, I guess you could sack one of the Zacks. I don't know, maybe I have enough 1 and 2 mana creatures I can just cut a Castle Guard or something here. Yeah, let's just like really curve out with the cheap creatures a lot. We'll cut a Castle Guard. Call it a deck there. Yeah, really sweet one. Really low to the ground, blue-white deck here. The very good Buster Sword equipment, but also plenty of equipment synergies with the Weapons Vendor and Zac Fair kind of cards that work with our Job Select cards as well. So that's pretty sweet. The Adelbert works with those too. Some solid removal between a couple Fates, stuck in Summoner's Sanctum, and Ice Magic. A little bit of card draw with the combat tutorial. Yeah, really fun, really strong looking deck here. We are much deeper on white than blue, I do want to say, so we're not going to go for 50-50 split. I'm going to go really high on white sources to make it more likely we can play our 1 mana white spells on turn 1 more often. So we'll make that one last minor adjustment, but from there on, we'll call it a deck there, hop in the gameplay, see how it does. Alright, here we are on the draw for game 1. This is a really nice looking hand. Definitely needs to hit a land. But then everything is castable. Even these removal spells can be thrown at tapped creatures for only 3 mana. We're just 1 land away from greatness. Awkward to hit the tap land as the land, but we'll play it nonetheless. Guarantee that Jill on turn 3. Playing against blue, green, and white here. Here's Jill to slow them down. Sure. Removal spell on Jill is just up in value, part of what makes her so strong. We get to bounce one of their creatures and remove their 3 mana removal spell from their hand. There's a 3/3 token. That's a good card to target with our Ice Magic, so we'll probably do that. Oh, these only only untap attacking creatures. I can't untap Jill with this. That'd have been awesome. I guess I could actually Ice Magic our own Jill back to our hand. Okay, that's kind of awesome. So I need to get to 5 mana for that to be really good. But once I do, I can Ice Magic to put Jill back into our hand and then recast Jill, and by recasting Jill, I use her Enter effect to kill our opponent's 3/3 token instead of using Ice Magic to kill the 3/3 token. That feels tremendously good. I guess what I also could have done was just play one of these 2 cards and then used Ice Magic in their end step. Likely would have been worth it here. I guess I'll do that this turn. Right, we cast a 2 mana spell, get rid of the Titan, and then Ice Magic Jill in their end step. Yeah, 5 mana 8/8 that can't be dealt damage is pretty good. Diamond Weapon, definitely super strong card. Very flavorfully powerful, I would say. Diamond Weapon should be an incredible card, and it certainly is. So I'm gonna have to chump block with my 2/1 that makes a 1/1 token, but then I can just blow that up with the Fate of the Suncrest. Scorpion Sentinel. Okay, I was going to say that I suppose if I hit a land here, we have some options involving flipping Jill, if I want to double check her abilities, but if I don't hit the land to be able to flip Jill anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, she just makes it so creatures can't be blocked. She wouldn't actually even really work. She's kind of on the aggressive, getting some unblockable swings in. Thrasios Tidus. Well, that's tremendously good. Try one, reveal the top card of your library, put it on the battlefield tapped, or draw a card. That is insanely good in draft. Yikes. So we're just waiting for land 5 now. Play the Thief's Knife because it's really good with Jill's ability to give unblockability. And pray that we find the removal to kill Tidus here quickly. Yep. Draw a card. They immediately draw a fight spell to kill Jill here. Before we get the mana to flip her. Pretty disappointing. It's Renoa as well. All bangers all day. What are you gonna do? Just cast some creatures and still wait for land 5? Oh, this is obviously pretty bad. See how good their random combat trick is here. +2/+2? I mean, it works. That's a really random combat trick for what we've seen from the rest of their deck. What are you gonna do? Not draw lands, that's the answer. This is so much damage. But if I deal with something that's dealing damage to me right now, they're guaranteed to draw at least 1 more card next turn. If they draw a land for a turn, they draw 2 more cards next turn. We are never digging out of that card disadvantage. That Thrasios puts us under, so I guess I just take 1,000,000 here. So they only get the really big buff from Renoa if Renoa attacks, and then I can double block and kill her if they didn't top deck a combat trick. It's They don't want Renoa to die. They can just put the bow on the T-Rex and swing in with that. Alright. That's not good. That means they drew something relevant and we're just going to die instantly. Suppose let's see what it is, shall we? A second diamond weapon? You got me. That is just insane power from their deck there in just terms of raw card quality. Oh, and 1 it is, heading into game 2. Here we are on the draw for game number 2. It's a pretty reasonable opening hand. We're actually just going to play 2 1-mana spells in a row, so I can play the tap land on turn 2. Blazing Bomb starts things off. Alright. Makes me want to play Zach first. Because I don't want to play the infantry and then have them just immediately blow it up with the bomb. Like to be able to tutor the second infantry out. And they can't blow up Zach with a bomb. They're going to cast literal lightning bolt. The bonus sheet in this set is insanely powerful, some of the cards on it. I think that's going to be potentially the big grown test of the format, is some of these bonus sheet cards just being so ridiculous, like Thrasios last game. I've also been deleted by like a turn 1 Ragavan and sealed. Alright, they are just going to bomb the infantry. Fair enough, we didn't have any alternate plays for the turn, so I didn't want to just do nothing with my mana. Scry 1, draw 1. I guess Surveil 1, draw 1. That can't be good. Double strike to turn wherever Seaver deals combat damage to a player. You may cast an instant or mana for 3 euros for your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So they'll double strike us and recast Dreams of Laguna and Lightning Bolt. I mean, I can't deal 4 to an untapped creature, and I can't destroy an untapped creature, so I don't have a way to play around it. We'll just play a Weapons Vendor and pass the turn. I guess Seifer just gets to go absolutely insane. Without paying its mana cost. So if I let him hit me, we're going to take 6, they're going to blow up the vendor anyway, and they're going to draw another card for free. I guess there's no reason not to chump. Because it's just going to get killed by the Lightning Bolt flashback regardless. Prima Vista, alright, that doesn't do a whole lot. I don't mind that. Here's our Primal Garuda. That is an insane card draw spell. They get to draw the best card out of their top 5. I get rid of the second best one, and they draw the third best one. So either they get to draw this clone or this counter spell. Either is pretty terrible for me. They already drew 1 clone, so they're going to have 2 copies of the clone. Jesus. Yeah, I guess we'll get rid of that. So they can have the 1 clone, the 1 counter. I'll happily take the trade, since summons end up deleting themselves later anyway. Well, let's cast these spells before they have the Syncopate untapped, since they only have red mana right now. And this thing flashes back as well to draw another 3. This card just seems really, really strong. This Memory's returning. They had the removal spell that blows up our equipment too. Brutal. And Mana Screw G1, Mana Flood G2. Shintoto, really cool. Very cute card. They have Syncopate for 2 up. Cast this for 5 right now. I have the 2 mana untapped. They've got a lot of spells they can cast that draw an extra card off that. These flashbacks all draw an extra card. So this feels like a good time to just kill that while I have the mana to pay for the counter. Oh man. Scry 1, draw a card. Sorry, Surveil 1, I always get it mixed up. Draw a card. Suplex and Adelbert. So we're spending 2 mana to draw 2/1 lifelinker right now. Honestly, I have so little action, I kind of think it is. Not a bad one. Oh, I guess it is kind of bad. Because my other infantry is already gone. But they can't counter it, at least. So, I've got an orcish librarian over here. I can sit here and shuffle my library as much as I want. 3 mana apiece. Is this the flashback or is this a second copy? This is a second copy, like, rip. This game is over. They have just too much card advantage. Oh my god, they got 2 copies of that thing? I guess it's possible they mill out. They've got 14 cards left and they're not putting any pressure on us right now. Plus I drew Jill while they're tapped out of the counterspell again. Best time to draw her. Oh, I guess they can just play their clone spell on Jill now, though. And then bounce my Jill and make me recast her into a Syncopate. It's not even that good to clone her, because they get a token, so they can't flip it, as far as I know. Yeah, because they have to exile the token, and once the token gets exiled, it'll never come back. They're just gonna use this to draw the card off of Shantota. That's so funny. Just kind of given up at this point on getting anything good off of it. Ay, ay, ay. Double check. Yeah, we only have the 2 copies. I can't tutor another out. Blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Counter unless we pay 6. Blue, 1, 2, 3. I have 7 up. Well, we definitely know their win con now. And kill us with a Lalafell. That is 17. They really didn't hold up the counter mana. They have 7 cards left. But Shantotto hits hard. And there's the removal. Opponent only has 7 cards left in their deck. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And they've hit 11 lands. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've hit the same number of lands and they only have 7 cards left and we have 20 left. Unless they're sandbagging some lands, which is very possible. Yeah, I guess they're probably just holding on to more lands. Alright, we're probably dead here. We actually know their cards that are left. Oh yeah, we're dead. They have the direct damage. Choco Meteor. Well, this draft has been really, really disappointing, just the way that we've drawn these first couple games. I mean, as you could see there, way too little lands in game 1 and way too many in game 2. That'll happen to any deck. 0-2 heading into game 3. Alright, it is time for us to rally if we want to be able to play with this deck some more. We had some rough land draws in the first couple games, and just the deck not functioning super well for us. So we are 0-2. We're a single loss from out of this without getting to win a single game of Magic here, so I have to fight really, really hard because I would love to play some more games with this deck, actually see how well it functions with just an average land to non-land ratio in the draws throughout the game. So this could be the final battle. We're going to have to fight like our life depends on it, because in terms of getting to keep playing this deck, it kind of does. Really don't mind the trade of the Castle Guard for the Death Toucher, because the Castle Guard gives us another card when it dies. I'm not going to lead with the Buster Sword just yet. I'm going to get some more creatures out here and then get rid of a blocker with Jill. Let's try to get a nice overwhelming board state here. I'm probably going to go for the Buster Sword once I have 5 mana and I can play and equip it in the same turn. Oh, that is super fine by me. Get them to tap out just to kill the Paladin token there. Okay. Now I kind of don't hate playing the Buster Sword because I don't really need to bounce anybody right now, and I can save that bounce for later. I can equip the sword and play one of the 2 different 1-drops next turn. Yeah, I'll just play the sword. There's the removal, but I get to keep the 1/1 token that can still use the Buster Sword, so I don't mind at all. They could double removal and I would still be really happy. Yeah, it's going to take a while to use the Buster Sword now, but we got a lot of card advantage off of that. And speaking of card advantage, now I can have our summon delete the Ochu and then stick around as a creature to throw the Buster Sword onto. If they throw removal at our summon, that's also more card advantage for us, because this is a card that's going to sacrifice itself anyway. Genova's horrific. I think I've literally never beaten Genova so far. But if there was ever a game to beat Genova, it would be a game where we're going to have a consistently active Buster Sword like this game. Draw a card. Don't really need to bounce Vanille here. It's a pretty good ability from the recast, so I'd rather, I think, get the Thief's Knife down for more card draw. Kind of set that up. And play Zach here. I did not tap that correct. I should have held double white up so I could play 2 creatures. There's Trinova. That is the card I really want to bounce. Now I have double white off the plains. So if I draw a better card to play with Buster Sword, I can play that and then still go land Jill by leaving a blue source untapped. Okay. None of those are better cards to play. We'll just play the Jill. Bounce Trinova. Land. Adelbert. And infantry. Force cycle the T-Rexor. And there's the concession. They can recast their Nova, but they're still incredibly dead on board after that. We really got to do the thing with our deck there. I mean, we just drew some incredibly powerful cards, our Buster Sword and Jill, for a really sick game of Magic. We actually get at least one win with this deck. Feels pretty good after starting with the 2 losses in a row like that, but we'll see if we can't keep it up. We're going to have to do nothing but a win streak here if we want to keep playing this deck, so play the best that we can as we head into round number 4. All right, we are on the draw for game number 4. This is a really solid hand. Our opponent doesn't have a 2-mana play. We'll start with our Sage's Nuliths. I'm gonna have to look this word up. This is a really weird word. Very specific kind of equipment I've never heard of. Okay. Draw a couple cards and put a counter on this, or just play an infantry. I'm happy to draw a couple cards here. Okay, counterspell works too. Get that out of the way so they don't counter our summon or our weapons vendor or any of these really solid cards coming up. Reach the Horizon. Very, very excellent ramp. I'm pretty happy this is actually like a sweet ramp card because I love the artwork. It's super nostalgic. Okay, I've already got some pretty good cards in my hand. I don't really need to draw more that desperately, so I'm going to go for the double infantry instead and go wide, get as much power as we can on the board. It's a ring that can tap one of our creatures each turn. I don't really care about that part. The ramp is pretty terrifying, though. If we can draw one of our bounce spells, that'll play incredibly well here. We did not draw one of our bounce spells. Well, can make one of these infantries 3 power to attack into this 3/3. All right. Got that one out of the way. I'm pretty scared here because this kind of like ramp deck playing like 3 colors is usually drafted because you've opened up like a really powerful high mana value bomb rare or something. So like if they ever draw into their rare here, we're Incredible dead, because it's likely to be very strong. There's some card draw to do some digging towards it. Scry one, draw one. Surveil one, draw one. They kept it on top, so they found whatever they're looking for. At least something decent on top. Yeah. T-Rex source pretty decent. They have no reach, so... They have no reach and they're really unlikely to attack anytime soon. It could definitely be worth playing the Garuda just to get flying damage in soon. Yeah, it gives one of our other creatures flying each turn for the next 2 swings. Feels pretty worth it. They could ring the Garuda down, so they just take 1 damage from it instead of 4, but I still get to send somebody else in the sky with the ability. Of course, now that I cast this, they'll attack with the 4/4, and I would have been able to kill it if I waited another turn. Nope, just the 6/6. Okay, I couldn't have killed the 6/6 anyway. Ooh. The one-shot or the jumbo cactuar. That is one of the least scary rares that I could think of, because I can just jump block it over and over. So they probably have at least 2 rares here. Sleep Magic is really bad against a Saga creature, because I still get all its abilities. I don't mind that at all. I think that's just good value for me in general, that they used that there. Because now they've used a full-on removal spell on a card that was already going to die. We take those. Might actually have been worth sacking Zach there to hit for 5 twice in a row here. I should probably kill the Cactuar while they're tapped out of a potential counterspell. They could actually have the 1 blue mana hexproof trick as the last card in their hand. Okay, they don't. It's honestly possible that even the 6/6 trample is actually scarier than the 10,007 that doesn't have trample. Maybe I was supposed to kill the T-Rex here. I wouldn't be surprised. Death Toucher on the ground, fine. Alright, this infantry's only going to hit for 1 damage because they have the ring untapped now. Oh, we got the Buster Sword. Oh boy, so what do I do here? I can't have 2 flying creatures. Man, that's a bummer. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get a Buster Sword trigger. Because I can like put Buster Sword on Zach, and then they go to tap Zach, and in response, I move Zach's abilities over. I move the +1/+1 counter and the Buster Sword onto somebody else. But then they can just block that somebody else. I guess if I attack with everybody here, they can't block everybody. And I can put the sword on whoever gets in. But then I die on the crackback. Because at 8 life, they just attack back at me. So I can't attack with everybody and expect to live another turn. F. F to pay respects. Alright. Well, we get to eat the Sentinel. And then have the blocker up for the T-Rexor. I guess I could have attacked with everybody. I forgot that this also untaps itself for the Vigilance. So these two would have been tapped, but I'd still have the 7-4 untapped on blocks. Oh, wait, no. They can just tap it with the ring. You can use the ring on the aggressive here. I think I get +4/+4 for 8 mana. Make that a 6/6. I have +4 power, so I can make Weapons Vendor 6/6 and force them to tap it. Man, we're dead here, aren't we? Because they can tap one of our creatures this turn. Play a Thief's Knife as well. This is 4 to equip, that's 3 to equip. So I can spend 2 and 1, 2, 3. I'm 1 mana off from equipping everything. Because it's 3 mana to play this. If I spend 3, I have 5 more mana untapped. The 5 mana that I have untapped, 2 goes to the Buster Sword, 3 goes to the Nuliths, and then 1 goes to the Vendor ability to re-equip Thief's Knife. I can't put all 3 equipment onto this 1/1 to make it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't make it a 6 to get past the Grand Pulse. I have to put everything on the Weapons Vendor, and they just tap the Weapons Vendor. Bummer. They just have straight up removal instead. That's really rough. Yeah. Good draw's good. I can't afford to attack here or they tap my blocker and kill me. Actually, they kill me no matter what. I can play the Thief's Knife. They tap this and then I play... they tap the other blocker during their turn. Still have the 8 mana up. Actually, I guess they wouldn't have had the 8 mana up. Well, we couldn't do anything there. Yeah, I clicked too fast to play through playing the Thief's Knife. Technically, I wasn't dead anymore. I would play the Thief's Knife, they tap this, they untap, and they tap the Thief's Knife. But if they tap the Thief's Knife, this is tapped and these two are tapped, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. They don't have the 8 to activate this anymore. So what would have happened is I would have played the Thief's Knife, and then we would have just passed to them. They wouldn't use this anymore, so they wouldn't take the 1 damage. They wouldn't attack anymore. We would go back to sitting here and staring at each other. And yeah, we just, whenever we move all our equipment to 1 card, they just keep tapping it. until they have the mana to tap something during their turn and activate that, in which case we would be dead. Alright, yeah, I clicked too fast. We technically were still alive there for like another turn or two, but was not going in our favor, which seems to be the theme of this draft today. Pretty big bummer, but we had to get at least one of those during the early access event. Got to balance out all the stronger records we've had earlier. It happens. I don't think this deck was horrible. I think the synergies certainly played out a bit weaker than I expected. But the biggest issues we had today were really just RNG, some really, really rough kind of mana draws. Yeah, I mean, this deck looks really, really fine on paper, but it did not play that way at all. It is what it is. 1-3 will be the final record for today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.